Maya walked through the hallways of Lincoln High School with her head down, just like she did every morning. The chatter of students filled the air, but none of it was directed at her. She preferred it that way. Being invisible was safer than being noticed, especially when being noticed meant becoming a target. The 16-year-old girl clutched her backpack straps tighter as she made her way to her locker. Lincoln High wasn't a bad school, but it wasn't exactly welcoming either. Maya was one of only 12 black students in a school of over 800 kids. Most days she felt like she was walking through a world that wasn't meant for her. Her locker was at the end of the hall, away from the popular kids' territory. Maya had learned to navigate the school like a map of safe and dangerous zones. The cafeteria was dangerous during lunch. The parking lot after school was risky. The library was safe. Her chemistry classroom was neutral territory. She had it all figured out. As she opened her locker, Maya heard the familiar sound of laughter behind her. Not the good kind of laughter that came from friends sharing jokes. This was the sharp, mean kind that made her stomach twist. She didn't turn around. She knew exactly who it was. "Look what we have here," came a voice that Maya recognized instantly. It belonged to Ashley, the unofficial queen of Lincoln High. Ashley had perfectly straight blonde hair, designer clothes, and a smile that could cut glass when she wanted it to. Little Maya, all alone again. Maya continued organizing her books, hoping that ignoring them would make them go away. It never worked, but she kept trying anyway. Her father had always told her that bullies fed off reactions. "Don't give them what they want," he used to say. But her father wasn't here anymore. He was deployed overseas, leaving Maya and her mother to figure things out on their own. "I'm talking to you," Ashley said, her voice getting closer. Maya could smell her expensive perfume now. She finally turned around to face her tormentor. Ashley stood there with her two best friends, Rachel and Kimberly. They were like a matching set, all blonde, all popular, all perfectly cruel. Rachel was the athlete of the group, captain of the volleyball team. Kimberly was the smart one who somehow managed to make good grades look effortless. Together, they formed the most feared trio in school. "What do you want?" Maya asked quietly. She had learned that sometimes it was better to just get it over with. "Oh, she speaks." Rachel laughed, tossing her ponytail over her shoulder. "We were just wondering why you always look so sad. Don't you have any friends?" Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. The truth was, making friends wasn't easy when you spent most of your time trying to stay invisible. She had tried joining clubs at the beginning of the school year, but somehow Ashley and her crew always managed to make things uncomfortable. "Leave me alone," Maya said, turning back to her locker. "That's not very friendly," Kimberly chimed in. "We're just trying to be nice." There was nothing nice about the way they said it. Maya had been dealing with their version of nice for months now. It started small. Comments about her hair, her clothes, the way she talked. Then it escalated to accidentally bumping into her in the hallways, knocking her books to the floor. Last week, someone had put a note in her locker telling her she didn't belong at Lincoln High. Maya's mother didn't know about any of this. She was working 2 jobs to keep them afloat while Maya's father was deployed. The last thing Maya wanted to do was add to her mother's stress. Besides, what could her mother do? Tell the school? Maya had already tried that route. She had gone to the guidance counselor, Mrs. Peterson, 3 weeks ago. Mrs. Peterson was a kind woman who meant well, but she didn't understand. When Maya explained what was happening, Mrs. Peterson had nodded sympathetically and promised to look into it. Nothing changed. If anything, things got worse after that. Like Ashley somehow knew that Maya had tried to get help. "You know what your problem is," Ashley continued, leaning against the locker next to Maya's. "You think you're better than everyone else. Walking around here all quiet and mysterious like you're too good to talk to people." Maya wanted to laugh at the irony. Better than everyone else? She felt like the smallest person in the school. Every day was a struggle to get through without drawing attention to herself. She wasn't being mysterious, she was being careful. "I don't think that," Maya said softly. "Sure you do." Rachel joined in. "You sit by yourself at lunch, you don't talk to anyone in class. You act like we're all beneath you." The bell rang, signaling the start of first period. Maya grabbed her books and tried to walk away, but Ashley stepped in front of her. "We're not done talking," Ashley said with that fake sweet smile. "I have to get to class," Maya replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Class can wait. We're having a conversation here." Maya looked around the hallway. Most of the other students had already headed to their classrooms. The few who remained were either part of Ashley's extended social circle or too scared to get involved. Maya had learned not to expect help from bystanders. "Please just let me go," Maya said. "Say please again," Kimberly laughed. "But say it like you really mean it." Maya felt something snap inside her chest. Not anger exactly, but something close to it. For months she had been taking this treatment quietly. She had followed her father's advice about not giving bullies what they wanted. She had tried talking to adults. She had tried ignoring them. Nothing worked. But Maya had something these girls didn't know about. Something she had been hiding just as carefully as she hid from their cruelty. Every Tuesday and Thursday after school, while they were probably at the mall or getting their nails done, Maya was in a small gym across town learning how to defend herself. Her father had insisted on the self-defense classes before he deployed. "I won't be there to protect you," he had said, "but I can make sure you know how to protect yourself." Maya had been taking Krav Maga for 8 months now. Her instructor, a former military man like her father, had taught her that the best fight was the one you avoided. But he had also taught her what to do when avoiding wasn't an option. The second bell rang. Maya was officially late for class now. "Oops," Ashley said with mock concern. "Looks like Maya's going to be in trouble with her teacher. Maybe if you ask us really nicely, we'll write you a note explaining why you're late." Maya took a deep breath. She thought about her father, somewhere on the other side of the world, trusting her to take care of herself and her mother. She thought about her mother, working herself to exhaustion to keep their family together. She thought about all the days she had come home feeling small and defeated. "No thank you," Maya said clearly. "I can handle it myself." She walked around Ashley and headed toward her classroom. Behind her, she heard Ashley call out, "This isn't over, Maya. We'll finish this conversation later." Maya kept walking, but she knew Ashley wasn't making an empty threat. These girls always followed through on their promises. As she entered her first period English class and apologized to her teacher for being late, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something was building toward a breaking point. She had tried being invisible. She had tried being polite. She had tried following all the rules about how to handle bullies. But Ashley and her friends weren't following any rules. Maybe it was time for Maya to stop following them too. The rest of Maya's morning passed in a blur of classes where she tried to focus on anything except the growing knot in her stomach. Ashley's words kept echoing in her head. "We'll finish this conversation later." Maya had heard that tone before, and it never led to anything good. By the time lunch period arrived, Maya's nerves were stretched tight. She usually spent lunch in the library where Mrs. Chen, the librarian, let students eat quietly while they worked. It was peaceful there, and more importantly, it was Ashley-free territory. But today, when Maya arrived at the library, she found a handwritten sign on the door. "Closed for maintenance. Sorry for the inconvenience." Maya stood in the empty hallway, holding her lunch bag and feeling suddenly lost. The cafeteria was out of the question. That was Ashley's kingdom, where she held court at the center table while her followers orbited around her like planets around the sun. Maya had made the mistake of eating there during her first week at Lincoln High. She had sat alone at a corner table, trying to be invisible, but Ashley had noticed her anyway. The memory of that humiliation still made Maya's cheeks burn. She walked aimlessly through the halls, looking for somewhere safe to spend the next 30 minutes. Most of the classrooms were locked during lunch. The gym was occupied by students playing basketball. The art room was full of kids working on projects. Everywhere Maya looked, she saw groups of friends talking and laughing together, reminding her of how alone she was. Finally, she remembered the second-floor bathroom near the science wing. It was rarely used during lunch because most students stayed on the first floor near the cafeteria. Maya climbed the stairs, her footsteps echoing in the quiet stairwell. The second floor felt almost abandoned during lunch period, which was exactly what she needed. The bathroom was small and plain, with 3 stalls and a row of sinks along one wall. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in harsh white light. Maya chose the stall farthest from the door and sat down to eat her sandwich in peace. For the first time all day, she felt like she could breathe normally. She pulled out her phone and texted her father, even though she knew he probably wouldn't see it for hours due to the time difference. "Having an okay day? Miss you." She kept her messages upbeat because she knew he worried about her and her mother enough already. He didn't need to know about Ashley or the constant feeling of walking on eggshells at school. Maya was halfway through her sandwich when she heard voices in the hallway outside. Her whole body tensed as she recognized the sounds. Ashley's laugh, followed by Rachel's voice saying something about finding her. Maya's blood turned to ice water. She has to be around here somewhere, Kimberly was saying. I saw her come upstairs. Check the bathroom. Ashley's voice was getting closer. Little Maya probably thinks she can hide from us. Maya quickly wrapped up the rest of her sandwich and shoved it back in her lunch bag. She looked around the small stall, but there was nowhere to go. The bathroom only had one exit, and Ashley and her friends were right outside it. Maya felt trapped, like a mouse in a cage with the cats circling. The bathroom door swung open with a bang that made Maya jump. She heard footsteps and whispered conversations, but couldn't make out the words. Maya held her breath and tried to stay perfectly still. Maybe if she was quiet enough, they would think the bathroom was empty and leave. Maya, Ashley's voice rang out sweet as poison. We know you're in here. We just want to talk, Rachel laughed. Come on out. We're not going to bite. Maya's hands were shaking now. She had never felt so cornered, so helpless. Part of her wanted to just walk out and face whatever they had planned. At least then it would be over quickly. But another part of her, the part that had been growing stronger with each Krav Maga lesson, whispered that she didn't have to be helpless anymore. Maya, Kimberly called out in a sing-song voice. We can wait all day. Lunch period doesn't end for another 20 minutes. Maya heard them checking the other stalls, their footsteps getting closer. She closed her eyes and tried to remember what her instructor, Mr. Rodriguez, had taught her about staying calm under pressure. Fear is normal, he always said, but don't let it control you. Use it to make you sharp, not weak. The footsteps stopped right outside her stall. Found you, Ashley said, and Maya could hear the smile in her voice. Maya stood up slowly and opened the stall door. Ashley was standing right there, blocking her path, with Rachel and Kimberly flanking her on either side. They had positioned themselves so that Maya couldn't get to the bathroom exit without going through them. There's our shy little friend, Ashley said. You're a hard girl to find, Maya, but we really needed to finish our conversation from this morning. What do you want? Maya asked, trying to keep her voice steady. We want to help you, Rachel said, but her tone suggested anything but helpfulness. We've been thinking about your situation and we have some advice. I don't need advice, Maya replied. Oh, but you do. Ashley stepped closer. See, you have a problem. You don't seem to understand how things work around here. There's a social order at Lincoln High and you keep acting like you don't have to follow it. Maya took a step backward, but her back hit the sink. She was trapped between the three girls and the wall. I'm not bothering anyone. I just want to be left alone. But that's the problem, Kimberly chimed in. You can't just ignore people and expect them to ignore you back. That's not how the world works. Especially when you walk around acting like you're too good for everyone, Rachel added. Maya felt frustration building in her chest. I never said I was too good for anyone. I never said anything to any of you. I just mind my own business. Your business is our business, Ashley said, her voice getting colder. When you disrespect us by ignoring us, that becomes our problem. I wasn't disrespecting you. I was just what? Just thinking you could come to our school and act like we don't exist? Ashley's mask of fake friendliness was slipping. Just thinking you could sit in our classes and eat in our cafeteria and use our bathrooms without acknowledging the people who actually belong here? Maya felt something shift inside her. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with anger. I belong here too. I'm a student just like you. Ashley laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. No, Maya, you're not just like us. You're very, very different. And it's time someone explained to you exactly what that means. The three girls moved closer, forming a tight semicircle around Maya. She could see the calculation in their eyes, the way they had planned this moment. They had cornered her deliberately, choosing a time and place where no one would interrupt them. Here's what's going to happen, Ashley continued. You're going to learn to show us the respect we deserve. You're going to stop pretending we don't exist, and you're going to remember your place in this school. My place, Maya repeated. At the bottom, Rachel said with a cruel smile. Where you belong. Maya looked from one face to another, seeing the same cold enjoyment in all their eyes. They were feeding off her fear just like her father had warned her bullies would do. But Maya realized something in that moment. She wasn't as afraid as she had been 5 minutes ago. The trapped feeling was being replaced by something else, something that felt like strength, I don't accept that, Maya said quietly. What did you say? Ashley's eyes narrowed. I said I don't accept that. I'm not at the bottom of anything. I'm not below you or anyone else. The three girls exchanged glances. Ashley's fake smile disappeared completely. You know what, Maya? I was going to be nice about this. I was going to give you a chance to learn your lesson the easy way, but you just couldn't take a hint, could you? Ashley reached into her backpack and pulled out her phone. Kimberly, block the door. Rachel, get ready to record this. I think it's time Maya learned what happens to girls who don't know their place. Maya's heart began to race, but not with fear anymore. With anticipation. For months she had been avoiding this confrontation. She had tried every peaceful solution she could think of. But Ashley had just made it clear that peace was never an option. Maya thought about her father thousands of miles away, trusting her to be strong. She thought about her mother, working herself to exhaustion while Maya came home defeated every day. She thought about Mr. Rodriguez and all those hours of training, all those lessons about standing up for yourself when backing down wasn't an option. No, Maya said, and her voice was steady now. What? Ashley looked confused. I said no. I'm not going to let you do this anymore. Ashley's confusion turned to anger. You don't get to say no to me. Maya stood up straighter, and for the first time in months she looked Ashley directly in the eyes. Watch me. The bathroom fell silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights overhead. Ashley stared at Maya with disbelief, like she couldn't process what she had just heard. For months, Maya had been the quiet girl who took their harassment without fighting back. The girl who looked down when they talked to her, who hurried away when they approached. This new version of Maya, standing straight and meeting Ashley's eyes, didn't fit the script they had written. Did you just tell me no? Ashley's voice was dangerously quiet. Yes, Maya replied, and she was surprised by how calm she sounded. I told you no. Rachel stepped forward, clearly confused by this turn of events. Maya, you don't understand. Ashley wasn't asking you. She was telling you. I understand perfectly, Maya said. And I'm telling all of you that this stops now. Kimberly let out a nervous laugh. You think you can just decide that? You think you have some kind of power here? Maya looked at each of them in turn. Ashley with her perfectly styled hair and designer clothes, trying to look intimidating but mostly looking shocked. Rachel with her athletic build and volleyball team confidence, flexing her hands like she was getting ready for a fight. Kimberly blocking the door, phone in hand, ready to record whatever humiliation they had planned. I think, Maya said slowly, that you picked the wrong person to mess with. Ashley's shock was rapidly turning into rage. Her face was getting red and Maya could see a vein pulsing in her forehead. The wrong person? You're nothing, Maya, you're nobody. You sit alone, you eat alone, you have no friends. What exactly makes you think you're the wrong person to mess with? Maya felt a strange calmness settling over her. It was the same feeling she got during Krav Maga practice when Mr. Rodriguez would call out scenarios, and she would have to react instantly. Time seemed to slow down and every detail became crystal clear. Ashley's clenched fists, Rachel shifting her weight onto the balls of her feet. Kimberly's position by the door, phone raised and ready to record. You want to know what makes me the wrong person? Maya asked. You're about to find out. Oh, we're going to find out all right, Ashley snarled. She shoved her phone at Rachel. Record this. I want everyone to see what happens to girls who think they can disrespect me. Rachel fumbled with the phone, trying to switch it to video mode while keeping her eyes on Maya. Got it. Recording now? Perfect, Ashley said. She took a step closer to Maya, invading her personal space in a way that was clearly meant to intimidate. Now, Maya, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get on your knees and apologize for being disrespectful. You're going to promise to stay out of our way from now on, and you're going to beg us not to share this video with the whole school. Maya didn't move. No, no. Ashley's voice was getting higher. You don't get to say no. I already did say no. Several times, actually. Ashley's control snapped. Without warning, she shoved Maya hard in the chest with both hands. Maya stumbled backward, her back hitting the edge of the sink. Pain shot through her spine, but she stayed on her feet. There we go, Ashley said with satisfaction. That's better. Now you know who's in charge here. Maya straightened up slowly, rolling her shoulders to work out the pain. She looked at Ashley with an expression that made the other girl take an involuntary step backward. Ashley, Maya said quietly, You just made a very big mistake." "What mistake?" Ashley tried to sound confident, but there was uncertainty in her voice now. "You put your hands on me." Rachel laughed nervously. "So what? What are you going to do about it?" Maya's father had always told her that the best fighters were the ones who stayed calm under pressure. "Anger made you sloppy," he said. "Fear made you weak. But controlled determination? That made you dangerous." "Mr. Rodriguez always told us that self-defense isn't about starting fights," Maya said, more to herself than to them. "It's about finishing them." "Who's Mr. Rodriguez?" Kimberly asked. Maya looked at her with something that might have been pity. "My instructor." "Instructor for what?" Ashley demanded. "Krav Maga." The three girls exchanged confused glances. Ashley recovered first. "I don't care if you take karate classes or whatever. There are 3 of us and 1 of you, and you're about to learn what happens when you don't show respect." Ashley raised her hand to shove Maya again. But this time Maya was ready. Everything Mr. Rodriguez had taught her came flooding back in that instant. 8 months of training. 8 months of learning how to turn an attacker's aggression against them. 8 months of building the kind of reflexes that worked faster than conscious thought. As Ashley's hands came toward her chest, Maya moved. She stepped slightly to the left, grabbed Ashley's right wrist with her left hand, and used Ashley's own momentum to pull her forward and off balance. At the same time, Maya's right hand came up and caught Ashley's left arm. In one smooth motion, Maya twisted Ashley's arm behind her back and used her own forward momentum to send her face first into the bathroom stall door. The entire sequence took maybe 2 seconds. Ashley hit the metal door with a loud bang and crumpled to the floor, clutching her nose and making sounds somewhere between sobbing and screaming. Blood was already starting to seep between her fingers. "Ashley." Rachel dropped the phone and rushed toward her friend, but Maya was already moving. Rachel was athletic and strong, but she wasn't trained. When she reached for Maya, Maya simply stepped aside and used Rachel's own forward motion to send her stumbling past. Rachel crashed into the paper towel dispenser and went down hard, her head hitting the wall with a sickening thud. Kimberly stood frozen by the door, her mouth hanging open in shock. She looked from Ashley, who was still on the floor holding her bloody nose, to Rachel, who was sitting against the wall looking dazed, to Maya, who was standing calmly in the center of the bathroom like nothing had happened. "How did you?" Kimberly started to say. "Do you want to be next?" Maya asked pleasantly. Kimberly shook her head so fast it was almost comical. "Good choice," Maya said. "Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to help your friends get cleaned up. You're going to take them to the nurse, and you're going to tell her exactly what happened here." "What happened here?" Kimberly repeated weakly. 3 girls cornered 1 girl in a bathroom and attacked her. That 1 girl defended herself. Everything else is just details. Maya walked over to where Rachel had dropped the phone. The screen was cracked, but it was still recording. Maya picked it up and looked at the video. It showed everything clearly. Ashley shoving Maya first, then Maya defending herself when Ashley tried to attack again. "This is actually perfect," Maya said, holding up the phone. "Video evidence that I was defending myself. Mr. Rodriguez always said documentation was important." Ashley managed to sit up against the stall door. Her nose was definitely broken, and her perfect makeup was ruined by tears and blood. You broke my nose," she gasped. "You attacked me," Maya replied matter-of-factly. "I defended myself. That's how self-defense works." "We'll get you expelled for this," Rachel said groggily from her position against the wall. Maya laughed, and the sound made all 3 girls flinch. "With video evidence that you attacked me first? With months of documented bullying that the school has ignored? I don't think so." She looked at each of them in turn, Ashley bleeding and crying on the bathroom floor. Rachel, holding her head and looking like she might throw up. Kimberly, pressed against the door like she was trying to disappear into it. "Here's what's really going to happen," Maya continued. "This ends today, all of it. The comments, the harassment, the attempts to humiliate me. It all stops right now." "You can't make us do anything," Ashley said, but her voice was weak. "Can't I?" Maya held up the phone again. "I have video of you attacking me. I have months of witnesses to your bullying. And now I have 3 girls who know exactly what happens when they try to put their hands on me." Maya set the phone down on the sink counter, still recording. "I'm not looking for trouble. I never was. I just want to come to school, learn, and be left alone. But if you force me to defend myself again, I will. And next time, I might not be as gentle as I was today." The bathroom was completely silent except for Ashley's sniffling and the distant sounds of students in the hallway outside. Maya picked up her lunch bag and slung her backpack over her shoulder. "The nurse's office is on the first floor," she said helpfully. "You might want to hurry. Ashley's nose looks like it really hurts." As Maya walked toward the door, Kimberly pressed herself against the wall to let her pass. "Oh, and girls?" Maya said, turning back one last time. "Tell your friends what happened here. All of them. I want everyone to know that I'm not the quiet little victim anymore." Maya opened the bathroom door and stepped into the hallway, leaving 3 girls behind to contemplate the fact that their world had just changed forever. Maya walked down the hallway in a daze, her heart still pounding from what had just happened. The fluorescent lights seemed brighter somehow. The sounds of other students seemed louder, and every step felt strange, like she was walking on a different planet. She had just defended herself against 3 bullies, and instead of feeling victorious, she felt oddly hollow. Behind her, she could hear muffled voices and movement from the bathroom. Part of her wondered if she should go back and help them, but a larger part knew that showing weakness now would undo everything she had just accomplished. Ashley and her friends had made their choice when they cornered her. Maya had simply responded to that choice. The hallway was mostly empty since lunch period was still going on, but Maya noticed a few students staring at her as she passed. Did they know something had happened? Could they tell just by looking at her? Maya realized she probably looked different somehow. She felt different, like something fundamental had shifted inside her chest. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. That surprised her. During the confrontation, adrenaline had flooded her system, but now she felt strangely calm. Mr. Rodriguez had told her that would happen. "After your first real self-defense situation," he had said, "you'll discover that you're stronger than you thought. The fear will be replaced by confidence." Maya made her way to the girls' bathroom on the first floor to splash some water on her face and check her appearance. She looked normal, which was almost disappointing. She had expected to see some visible sign of what had just happened, some mark that showed she wasn't the same person who had walked into that bathroom 20 minutes ago. As she was drying her hands, 2 sophomore girls walked in, chatting about their upcoming English test. They glanced at Maya but didn't seem to recognize her. Maya realized that to most people at Lincoln High she was still invisible. The confrontation upstairs might have changed everything for her, but to the rest of the school, it was just another lunch period. That was about to change. Maya was walking toward the library when she heard running footsteps behind her. She turned to see Kimberly rushing down the hallway, looking panicked and out of breath. "Maya," Kimberly called out. "Wait." Maya stopped and turned around, curious despite herself. Kimberly looked terrible. Her hair was disheveled, her face was flushed, and she kept glancing around like she expected someone to jump out at her. "What do you want, Kimberly?" "I need to talk to you," Kimberly said, lowering her voice. "Please, just for a minute." Maya crossed her arms. "Talk." Kimberly looked around the hallway again, then stepped closer. "Ashley's in the nurse's office. Her nose is definitely broken. Rachel has a concussion. They had to call her parents." "Okay," Maya said neutrally. And they're both telling everyone that you attacked them for no reason. They're saying you're dangerous, that you should be expelled." Maya felt a flicker of anger, but it was controlled now, not the helpless rage she used to feel. "Are you here to threaten me too?" "No," Kimberly said quickly. "No, I'm here to warn you. Ashley's parents are already on their way to the school. They're talking about pressing charges about getting you arrested. For defending myself? They're not going to tell it that way. Ashley's story is that you attacked her out of nowhere because you're jealous of her popularity. Rachel's backing her up." Maya studied Kimberly's face. The other girl looked genuinely worried, which was confusing. 5 minutes ago, Kimberly had been part of the group trying to humiliate her. Now she was warning her about potential consequences. "Why are you telling me this?" Maya asked. Kimberly looked down at her shoes. "Because I saw what really happened. I know Ashley attacked you first." "I know you were just defending yourself. And I can't let you get in trouble for something that wasn't your fault." Maya was quiet for a long moment, studying Kimberly's face. There was something different about her now, something that hadn't been there before. The cruel confidence was gone, replaced by what looked like genuine remorse. "You were going to film it," Maya said. "You were going to help them humiliate me and then share the video with everyone." "I know," Kimberly said quietly. "I know, and I'm sorry. I've been sorry about a lot of things lately, but I was too scared to say anything. Scared of what? Scared of Ashley. Scared of losing my place in the group. Scared of becoming a target myself. Kimberly looked up at Maya with tears in her eyes. Do you know how pathetic that sounds? I helped make your life miserable because I was afraid of the same thing happening to me. Maya felt something shift in her chest. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was understanding. She thought about all the students who had watched Ashley's group harass her over the months, all the people who had looked away instead of speaking up. How many of them had been motivated by the same fear that Kimberly was describing? What do you want me to do about it? Maya asked. I have the phone, Kimberly said, pulling out Rachel's cracked device, the one that was recording everything. Ashley doesn't know I have it. She was too focused on her broken nose to think about evidence. Maya looked at the phone. And? The video shows everything. Ashley shoving you first, Ashley trying to attack you again, you defending yourself. It proves that they were lying about what happened. Why would you help me? Kimberly was quiet for a long moment. Because watching you stand up to them was the bravest thing I've ever seen. And because I'm tired of being a coward. Before Maya could respond, they heard voices approaching from around the corner. Kimberly quickly shoved the phone into Maya's hands. Take it, she whispered urgently. Use it to protect yourself. And Maya, what you did up there, it was amazing. I've never seen anyone stand up to Ashley like that. Kimberly hurried away just as Principal Johnson appeared around the corner, flanked by two adults Maya didn't recognize. One was a tall, angry-looking man in an expensive suit. The other was a woman with Ashley's exact same blonde hair and cold blue eyes. Ashley's parents. Miss Thompson, Principal Johnson called out. I need you to come to my office immediately. Maya slipped the phone into her backpack and walked toward them. The man in the suit was staring at her with unconcealed hostility, while Ashley's mother looked like she was trying to set Maya on fire with her eyes. Is this her? Ashley's father demanded. Is this the girl who attacked our daughter? Mr. Williams, please, Principal Johnson said. Let's discuss this in my office. I want to know why this violent student is still walking around free, Ashley's mother added. Our daughter is in the emergency room because of her. Maya looked at the three adults and felt the same calm she had experienced in the bathroom. These people were trying to intimidate her, just like Ashley had tried to intimidate her. But Maya wasn't the same girl who had been intimidated this morning. I'd be happy to discuss what happened, Maya said politely, especially since I have video evidence of the entire incident. Ashley's parents exchanged glances. Video evidence? Mr. Williams asked. Yes, sir. Complete video documentation of everything that happened, including your daughter attacking me first. Principal Johnson looked surprised. You have video of the incident? I do, Maya said, and I think you'll find it very educational. As they walked toward the principal's office, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in months at Lincoln High. She felt powerful, not because she had hurt anyone, but because she had refused to be a victim. She had stood up for herself. And now she had the evidence to prove that everything she had done was justified. Ashley's parents were whispering angrily to each other behind her, probably trying to figure out how their perfectly planned narrative was falling apart. Principal Johnson looked confused and concerned, which was better than his usual expression of mild indifference when Maya had tried to report the bullying before. Maya thought about her father, half a world away, who had always told her that the truth would protect her if she was brave enough to stand up for it. She thought about her mother, who worked so hard to give Maya opportunities for a better life. And she thought about all the other students at Lincoln High who had been afraid to stand up to bullies because they didn't think they had any power. Maybe it was time to show them that they were wrong. Maybe it was time to show everyone that power didn't belong to the bullies after all. As Maya walked into Principal Johnson's office, she felt like she was walking into the next chapter of her life. A chapter where she wasn't a victim anymore, where she didn't have to be invisible to be safe, where she could be exactly who she was without apologizing for it. Ashley and her friends had cornered the wrong girl in that bathroom. They had expected to find a victim, but instead, they had created something much more dangerous, a young woman who knew her own strength and wasn't afraid to use it. Principal Johnson's office felt smaller with 5 people crammed into it. Maya sat in the chair directly across from his desk, while Ashley's parents took the 2 chairs beside her. Principal Johnson settled behind his desk with a thick folder that Maya assumed contained her student records. Now then, Principal Johnson began, I understand there was an incident during lunch period that resulted in 2 students being injured. Mr. and Mrs. Williams, I know you're concerned about Ashley, but I need to hear from all parties before making any decisions. Mr. Williams leaned forward aggressively. Our daughter has a broken nose and multiple bruises. The other girl, Rachel, has a concussion. This isn't some minor schoolyard scuffle, Principal Johnson. This is assault. I understand your concern, Principal Johnson replied. However, I also need to understand exactly what happened and why. Mrs. Williams spoke up, her voice icy with controlled anger. What happened is that this girl attacked our daughter unprovoked. Ashley told us she was simply trying to be friendly when this Maya person flew into a rage and started hitting people. Maya listened to this version of events with something approaching amazement. The ability of people to completely rewrite reality when it served their purposes never ceased to surprise her. Is that your understanding of what happened, Miss Thompson? Principal Johnson asked. No, sir, it's not, Maya said calmly. And I have video evidence that proves exactly what really happened. Maya pulled out Rachel's phone and set it on Principal Johnson's desk. This phone belongs to Rachel, one of the girls who was with Ashley. It was recording the entire time. Everything is documented. Mr. Williams reached for the phone, but Principal Johnson held up a hand to stop him. Let's all watch this together, he said, picking up the device. The video quality was actually quite good. It showed Maya standing by the sinks while Ashley, Rachel, and Kimberly surrounded her. The audio was clear enough to hear Ashley's threats and ultimatums. It showed Ashley shoving Maya first. It showed Maya's measured response when Ashley tried to attack her again. The office was completely silent as the video played. Maya watched Ashley's parents' faces change from anger to confusion, to something that looked like embarrassment. Principal Johnson's expression grew more serious with each passing second. When the video ended, nobody spoke for a long moment. Well, Principal Johnson finally said, this certainly provides some important context. Mr. Williams cleared his throat. The video doesn't show what happened before the recording started. Maybe Maya provoked them somehow. Actually, Maya said, it does show what happened before. If you listen to the audio, you can hear Ashley clearly state that this was a continuation of their conversation from this morning. She also explicitly describes their plan to humiliate me and force me to know my place, as she put it. Mrs. Williams looked like she had swallowed something bitter. Ashley would never say things like that. Maya looked at her with genuine curiosity. Do you really believe that? Or are you just hoping it's not true? Don't you dare question our parenting, Mr. Williams snapped. I'm not questioning your parenting, Maya replied. I'm questioning whether you actually know your daughter. Principal Johnson intervened before the conversation could escalate further. Let's focus on the facts. Miss Thompson, can you tell me about this ongoing situation you mentioned? You said this was a continuation of something from this morning? Maya took a deep breath. This was her chance to finally tell someone in authority what had been happening to her for months. Ashley and her friends have been harassing me since the beginning of the school year. Comments about my appearance, my race, my family situation. They've been deliberately making me feel unwelcome at this school. Have you reported this harassment before? Principal Johnson asked. Yes, sir. I spoke with Mrs. Peterson, the guidance counselor, about 3 weeks ago. I explained what was happening and asked for help. Principal Joe Ensign made a note in his folder. And what was the result of that conversation? Nothing changed. If anything, the harassment got worse after I reported it. Ashley's parents were looking increasingly uncomfortable. Mrs. Williams spoke up. Even if that's true, it doesn't justify violence. You're absolutely right, Maya agreed. It doesn't justify violence. That's why I tried every non-violent solution I could think of. I ignored them. I avoided them. I reported them to school authorities. I tried to make myself invisible so they wouldn't target me. But that didn't work, Principal Johnson observed. No, sir, it didn't. Today they cornered me in a bathroom during lunch period. They blocked the exit and made it clear that they intended to physically assault me while recording it for their own entertainment. Maya paused, thinking about how to explain the next part. My father is deployed overseas with the military. Before he left, he insisted I learn self-defense. He said he wouldn't be there to protect me, so I needed to know how to protect myself. So you've been trained in martial arts? Principal Johnson asked. Krav Maga, yes, sir. For about 8 months now. My instructor always emphasized that self-defense is about protecting yourself when you have no other options. not about starting fights. Mr. Williams shifted in his chair. You're saying you used military-style fighting techniques on teenage girls? I'm saying I used the minimum force necessary to stop an attack and get myself to safety, Maya corrected. If I had wanted to seriously hurt your daughter and her friends, the video would look very different. Principal Johnson reviewed his notes. Miss Thompson, I'm going to need to speak with Mrs. Peterson about your previous report. I'm also going to need to review our anti-bullying policies and procedures. What about consequences for Maya? Mrs. Williams demanded. Our daughter is in the hospital. Your daughter is in the hospital because she attacked another student and that student defended herself, Principal Johnson said firmly. The video evidence makes it very clear who the aggressor was in this situation. Maya felt a weight lifting off her shoulders that she hadn't even realized she was carrying. For the first time since starting at Lincoln High, an adult in authority was actually listening to her and taking her seriously. However, Principal Johnson continued, I am concerned about the level of force involved. Miss Thompson, while I understand you were defending yourself, the fact remains that your training gave you a significant advantage in this situation. Yes, sir, Maya agreed. That's exactly what it was supposed to do. Principal Johnson almost smiled at that. Fair point. But going forward, I want you to come to me immediately if you experience any further harassment. Don't try to handle it on your own. What if coming to you doesn't help? Maya asked. What if, like with Mrs. Peterson, nothing changes? It was a direct challenge, and everyone in the room knew it. Principal Johnson looked uncomfortable, but he met Maya's eyes. Then I will have failed in my responsibility to keep you safe at this school, he said. And if that happens, I want you to go over my head. Contact the district office, contact the school board, contact whoever you need to contact until someone listens. Maya nodded. Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams stood up abruptly. This is ridiculous. You're treating our daughter like she's some kind of criminal while this girl gets away with assault. Mr. Williams, Principal Johnson said, rising as well. Your daughter and her friends cornered another student in a bathroom, threatened her, and physically attacked her while attempting to record the assault for later distribution. If anyone should be worried about criminal charges, it's you. The room fell silent. Mrs. Williams had gone pale, and Mr. Williams looked like he was struggling to find words. I suggest, Principal Johnson continued, that you focus on getting Ashley the help she clearly needs, rather than trying to blame the victim of her bullying. As Ashley's parents gathered their things and left the office, Maya felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope. For the first time since starting at Lincoln High, she felt like maybe she could actually belong here. Miss Thompson, Principal Johnson said after the Williams had gone, I owe you an apology. Our anti-bullying policies are supposed to protect students like you, and clearly we failed in that responsibility. Thank you for saying that, Maya replied. I'm going to be making some changes around here, starting with mandatory training for all staff on recognizing and addressing harassment. And I'm going to be having some very serious conversations with several students about their behavior. Maya stood to leave, then turned back. Principal Johnson, there are other kids here who are dealing with the same thing I was dealing with. Kids who don't have self-defense training to fall back on. Do you have specific names? Some. But mostly I just think the school needs to do better at protecting students who don't fit the mold of what's considered normal here. Principal Johnson nodded. You're right. And we will. As Maya walked out of the principal's office, she felt like she was walking into a completely different school than the one she had entered that morning. Word of what had happened was already spreading through the hallways. Students were looking at her with expressions ranging from curiosity to respect to fear. Maya realized she didn't mind any of those reactions. What she minded was indifference. What she minded was being invisible. She wasn't invisible anymore. Over the following weeks, Lincoln High School began to change. Ashley returned to school with a bandaged nose and a significantly humbler attitude. Rachel and Kimberly both approached Maya separately to apologize for their behavior. The hallways felt different somehow, like the social order that had seemed so fixed and permanent had shifted in fundamental ways. Maya still ate lunch alone sometimes, but now it was by choice rather than necessity. Several students had approached her to ask about self-defense classes, and Mr. Rodriguez had agreed to start a program at the community center, specifically for teenagers dealing with bullying. Most importantly, Maya had learned something about herself that she would carry for the rest of her life. She had learned that she was stronger than she thought, braver than she imagined, and capable of standing up for herself when it mattered most. Her father called from overseas the day after the incident, having heard about it from her mother. "I'm proud of you," he said. "Not for the fighting, but for the standing up." That took real courage. "I was scared the whole time," Maya admitted. "Good," her father replied. "Courage isn't about not being scared. It's about doing what's right even when you are scared. You did exactly what I hoped you would do if you ever found yourself in that situation." Maya looked around the cafeteria where she was sitting while talking to him. Students were laughing and talking, doing homework and complaining about teachers living their normal teenage lives. But Maya could see the ones who were sitting alone, the ones who looked like they were trying to be invisible, the ones who kept their heads down and hoped to get through another day without being noticed. She made a mental note to reach out to some of them. Not to rescue them. She had learned that people had to find their own strength, but to let them know that someone understood what they were going through. Maya had stopped being invisible, but more importantly, she had learned to see the invisible students around her, and maybe, just maybe, she could help some of them find their own voices before they needed to use their fists. The quiet girl who had walked into that bathroom during lunch period was gone forever. In her place was a young woman who knew her own worth and wasn't afraid to defend it. And that, Maya thought, was exactly who she was supposed to be.